The first bullet punched through Chief Petty Officer Morgan Hayes' shoulder before anyone even heard the shot. The second missed Rivera by inches and shattered a tree trunk. Then the forest exploded. 8 enemy snipers firing from 30 meters up in the canopy, invisible, untouchable, turning the trees into a kill zone. Blood blossomed across Hayes' combat shirt, his face contorting in shock more than pain. The veteran SEAL who had survived 3 deployments and more firefights than most of his teammates combined dropped to one knee, his rifle clattering against his plate carrier. Contact, contact. Lieutenant Daniel Warren's voice cut through the chaos. Snipers in the trees, take cover. SEAL Team 7 scattered with practiced efficiency, each operator finding what meager protection existed in a forest that suddenly seemed devoid of adequate cover. The sniping positions had been carefully chosen fields of fire, overlapping to create a perfect killing ground. Another round cracked past the supersonic snap unmistakable. Petty Officer James Rivera spun and fell clutching at his chest, where the 7.62mm round had punched through just below his body armor. His SR-25 rifle tumbled away as he gasped for air that wouldn't come. Man down, sucking chest wound. Miller was already moving combat, crawling to Rivera under fire medical kit in hand. Jesus Christ! Cooper was firing his M4 into the canopy, full auto, burning through magazines. I can't see them. Where the fuck are they? Lieutenant Warren tried to coordinate, tried to establish fire superiority, but you couldn't suppress what you couldn't see. Torres, I need eyes on targets. Jackson, left flank. Cooper, conserve ammo. He's critical. Miller's voice came back tight with stress. Chest seal holding, but I need immediate case of AC. Warren keyed his radio. Base, this is 7-1. We are in contact with enemy snipers, multiple positions. 2 urgent surgical, 1 routine. Request immediate QRF and air support. The response made everyone's blood run cold. 7-1 nearest QRF is 45 minutes out. Air assets grounded due to weather conditions. Medical evacuation not available. You are on your own. Recommend break contact and move to extraction point Delta. 45 minutes. Rivera would bleed out in 15. Hayes needed surgery in 30. And breaking contact meant moving through a forest where enemy snipers had pre-positioned kill zones. They were trapped. Petty Officer First Class Alexandra Alex Blackwood moved through the chaos with unnatural calm. Her Mk-13 Mod 7 precision sniper rifle held in low, ready green eyes, constantly scanning the canopy above. 29 years old, average height, with a lean build from years carrying heavy equipment over brutal terrain. Dark brown hair pulled back in a tight braid under her helmet. Her face had that weathered look of someone who'd spent years in harsh environments, not hard, just seasoned like leather, that had seen use and gotten better for it. For 6 months, she'd been with SEAL Team 7. 6 months of patrols, intelligence gathering, and security operations. 6 months without firing a single combat shot. 6 months of proving herself in 1,000 small ways, without ever revealing what she truly was. Now as she watched Miller working on Rivera, watched Hayes trying to apply pressure to his own wound, with hands growing unsteady from blood loss, watched Cooper and 3 other SEALs firing blindly into the canopy, wasting ammunition on targets they couldn't see, she made her decision. Lieutenant, she called out, her voice cutting through chaos with surprising calm. I need 30 seconds of heavy suppressive fire into the canopy. Doesn't need to be accurate, just needs to be loud and make them keep their heads down. Warren looked at her from his position behind a tree 20 meters away. Even in the chaos, even with people bleeding and dying, he registered something in her voice. Absolute certainty that made him pause. Blackwood, what are you? Sir, I can neutralize the snipers, but I need covering fire to reposition, and I need everyone to shut up and let me work. Can you give me that? Something in her eyes made Warren realize he was looking at someone different from the quiet operator who'd been on his team for 6 months. This was someone else, someone dangerous. How many snipers? Alex had already counted. 8 positions, all elevated, overlapping fields of fire. Professional setup. And you think you can take out 8 snipers? Disbelief colored his words. I know I can, sir. I just need you to trust me. Warren looked at Rivera, blood soaking through Miller's pressure dressings. Looked at Hayes getting paler by the minute. Looked at his team pinned down and dying. All elements, he called out. Suppressive fire into the canopy on my mark. Sustained for 30 seconds, then cease fire on my command. Blackwood's going to work. 3, 2, 1, mark. 6 SEALs opened up simultaneously, pouring automatic fire into the trees above. It wasn't aimed, they couldn't see targets, but it forced enemy snipers to take cover, to pause their shooting, to hunker down. And that 30-second pause was all Alexandra Blackwood needed. Better. 5,000 miles away and 6 months earlier, Master Chief Raymond Bishop stood on the observation platform at the Naval Special Warfare Sniper Training Facility in California. At 68, Bishop's weathered face had earned every line etched into it. His silver hair was still kept in a military shortcut, and despite his age, his posture remained ramrod straight, the bearing of a man who had spent decades in uniform. Through his high-powered spotting scope, he watched the figure prone on the firing line, observing as she adjusted minutely for wind breathing and angle. Her finger took up the trigger, slack with perfect control. The rifle spoke, and half a second later, the target 800 meters downrange showed a perfect center hit. "That's 10 for 10, said Commander Wilson, checking his watch. "In under 2 minutes. I've never seen anything like it." "I have," Bishop said quietly, "once." The figure on the firing line, Alexandra Blackwood, rose smoothly to her feet, clearing her weapon with practiced motions before approaching the observation platform. "How'd I do?" she asked, though she already knew. "You're wasting your talents here," Bishop said without preamble. "Regular SEAL teams don't utilize snipers to their full potential." "That's where you're wrong, Master Chief," Blackwood replied. "That's exactly where I need to be." Later in Bishop's sparse office, with the door closed and recording devices confirmed absent, he leaned forward across his desk. "The unit's been disbanded, Blackwood. Ghost protocol doesn't exist anymore. Budget cuts and shifting priorities. All those years hunting enemy snipers in every hellhole on Earth, gone." "I know, that's why I'm here. SEAL teams are different. They're not specialized counter-sniper units. They'll never understand what you can do, what you've done. 87 missions. 87. Alex's jaw tightened. 86 successes, 1 failure, the one that mattered most. "Shepard, wasn't your fault. I missed the shot, Master Chief. 400 meters minimal crosswind. A shot I'd made 1,000 times. And I missed." Her voice didn't break, but the pain was there, buried deep but ever present. "Michael died because I hesitated." Bishop sighed, the weight of too many ghosts on his shoulders. "So what's your play here? Join a standard SEAL team and do what exactly? Be part of something again?" Alex met his gaze unflinchingly. 2 years of solo hunting, operating alone in the shadows. "It changes you. Not for the better. I need a team. They won't know who you really are, what you can do." "Good." Her green eyes hardened. "I don't want to be the sniper. I just want to be a SEAL, a teammate." Bishop studied her, seeing the determination in her face, the need for redemption, for connection. Finally, he nodded. "I'll make the call, but you're not going to any team. If you're doing this, you're going to the best. SEAL Team 7, Lieutenant Warren's platoon." "Why them specifically?" "Because Bishop said they're heading to Eastern Europe in 6 months. Same region where Petrov's team operates." Alex went very still. "Sasha Petrov, the man who killed Michael." "The very same. Reports suggest he's rebuilt his sniper unit. 8 operators, all former Spetsnaz." A muscle worked in Alex's jaw. "You manipulative old bastard." Bishop's weathered face broke into a rare smile. "I prefer strategic thinker. Look, Blackwood, you want redemption. A team, fine. But don't tell me there isn't a part of you that wants to finish what you started." Alex said nothing, but her silence was answer enough. "Whoa." SEAL Team 7 moved through the dense pine forest in tactical formation. 12 operators plus Blackwood spread out in a loose wedge that balanced mutual support against vulnerability to ambush. Each SEAL carried roughly 80 pounds of gear, weapons, ammunition, body armor, communications, equipment, medical supplies. They moved with the practiced efficiency of professionals who'd done this hundreds of times, knew the rhythm, understood the dance. Lieutenant Daniel Warren led from the front, 32 combat veteran with 3 deployments and a Navy Cross he never mentioned. The kind of officer who led by example rather than rank, who ate last and checked on his people before himself. Chief Petty Officer Morgan Hayes was the senior enlisted 40 grizzled, had been doing this since before half the team was born. Former Marine Recon who'd switched to Navy and gone through BUDAIS at 28. He was the backbone of the platoon, institutional knowledge that kept young SEALs alive. Petty Officer Ryan Cooper was 25, eager still, had that invincibility complex from surviving Hell Week. Good with explosives, better with women, at least according to his own frequent telling. Petty Officer James Rivera carried an SR-25 rifle and had solid talent behind a scope. Not elite, but professional, dependable in a firefight, and possessed of an uncanny sense of direction. Petty Officer Jessica Miller was their corpsman. 27 former Army medic who'd kept more people alive in worse conditions than most doctors in well-equipped hospitals. Steady hands, steady nerve, and a bedside manner that alternated between maternal comfort and drill instructor depending on what the patient needed. And then there was Blackwood, the quiet one, the one who watched and listened more than she spoke, the one who carried an Mk13 sniper rifle with Night Force ATCR 525 56mm f1 scope, but hadn't yet fired it in combat. The one who some of the younger SEALs whispered about when they thought she couldn't hear. Came from some classified unit, Cooper had said 3 months into her time with the team. But what good is a sniper who never takes the shot? Hayes had shut him down with a look. When it's time to shoot Cooper, pray to God she's as good as her qualification scores say she is. Now moving through the forest, Alex felt the weight of the Mk13 against her shoulder. Familiar, comforting in its way. Her eyes constantly scanned the canopy, looking for things the others didn't know to look for. The mission was straightforward: reconnaissance patrol, gather intelligence on enemy movement, document supply routes, return to base. Simple. Routine. The kind they'd done 100 times before. Which was exactly when everything went catastrophically wrong. "Hold up," Alex said suddenly, her voice low, but carrying to those nearest her. She knelt examining a tree trunk while the others paused. "What have you got, Blackwood?" Warren moved to her position. "Someone's been climbing these trees." She pointed to subtle marks on the bark. "Recently, multiple ascents." Cooper scoffed. "Could be animals. Plenty of critters climb trees. Not wearing combat boots, they don't." Alex indicated a small impression in the soft earth nearby, the distinctive tread pattern of military footwear, and not carrying heavy gear. Warren studied the sign, then looked up at the dense canopy 30 meters overhead, where afternoon sunlight barely penetrated. "How many?" "Can't tell." Alex scanned the surrounding trees, but they took care to conceal their movements. "These aren't hunters or locals, these are professionals." "You're seeing ghosts, Blackwood," Cooper said with a dismissive wave. "Probably just forest rangers or something." "Rangers don't hide their tracks," Alex countered, "and they don't climb to the upper canopy with equipment." Warren considered this, weighing options. They were 3 kilometers into a 10-kilometer patrol route. The intelligence they were after was another 4 kilometers ahead. Turning back meant mission failure. "Keep it tight," he finally decided. "Hayes, take point. Blackwood, I want your eyes up. If there's anyone in those trees, I want to know before they know we're here." Alex nodded, but something cold settled in her stomach. She recognized these signs, had seen them before in Afghanistan. The subtle indicators of a professional sniper hide being established. The last time she'd seen such signs and failed to act decisively, Michael Shepard had died with a 7.62mm round through his throat. They moved forward, more cautious now. Alex kept her eyes on the canopy, looking for the telltale signs of sniper positions. Unnatural straight lines, disturbed foliage, shadow patterns that didn't match natural growth. 300 meters later, she saw it. A platform 35 meters up, carefully constructed from branches and camouflage netting. Nearly invisible unless you knew exactly what to look for. "Lieutenant," she whispered urgently, "we need to stop, now." "What is it?" Warren's voice was equally low. 2 o'clock, top of the big pine, 35 meters up. Sniper hide." Warren squinted upward, seeing nothing but branches and needles. "You sure?" "Positive. And if there's one, there are more." Warren reached for his radio to alert the team, but it was too late. The first round took Hayes in the shoulder. The second narrowly missed Rivera. And the forest exploded into chaos. Tum! Alex dropped behind a massive fallen pine, her mind processing the tactical situation with cold calculation. Enemy snipers, multiple positions, elevated 30-40 meters up, interlocking fields of fire, professional setup. She could hear Miller scrambling to reach Rivera, could see Hayes trying to staunch the blood flowing from his shoulder. Trapped, outgunned, no air support. QRF 45 minutes out. In the part of her mind still capable of irony, Alex recognized the situation. Almost identical to the ambush that had killed Michael Shepard. Except this time she wasn't a Ghost Protocol operative with a spotter. She was part of a SEAL team caught in a death trap. She had a choice to make. Continue as she had for 6 months, being just another SEAL concealing her specialized training and experience. Or reveal what she truly was, what she could do. The decision made itself when she heard Rivera's labored breathing, saw the growing pallor in Hayes' face. "Lieutenant," she called to Warren, "I need 30 seconds of covering fire." And then she was moving, repositioning to where a slight rise combined with a fallen tree created a natural shooting position with excellent elevation and concealment. The Mk-13 came up with movements so smooth that they looked choreographed. The rifle was a 300 Winchester Magnum, capable of accurate fire out to 100 meters under ideal conditions. These weren't ideal. Dense forest, multiple obstructions, elevated targets ranges, varying from 290 to 600 meters. But Alexandra Blackwood had made shots under worse. Much worse. As the suppressive fire from her teammates ceased, the forest went suddenly eerily quiet, except for the ringing of ears and labored breathing of wounded men. Alex controlled her breathing, letting her heart rate drop from the sprint, entering that state of focused calm that separated good snipers from exceptional ones. Her scope came up, and she began scanning the canopy with systematic precision, looking for signatures that gave away a sniper position even when they thought they were invisible. Most people looked for people. Alexandra Blackwood looked for anomalies, things that didn't belong. A straight line in a world of curves, a shadow falling wrong, foliage moving against the wind, the geometry of man-made objects against organic growth. There, 10 o'clock 38 meters up in a massive pine, a platform barely visible built from branches and camouflage netting. Professional construction almost impossible to spot from ground level. Almost. But Alex could see the edge of a boot. Just the heel, maybe 2 inches visible through a gap in foliage. 2 inches was enough. She calculated the shot in milliseconds. Range 340 meters horizontal, 38 meters vertical, giving actual distance of 342 meters along angle of fire. Wind minimal through trees, but she could see leaves moving at canopy level, maybe 3 bar from west. Temperature approximately 55 degrees room, humidity high, maybe 75%. The angle meant she needed to adjust point of aim lower than a level shot at the same range. Her scope's reticle settled on a point 6 inches below where she'd seen the boot, not on the boot itself. That was cover on where the body had to be based on the position of the boot. She was in that perfect moment between heartbeats. When body was still, when breathing had paused, when the world narrowed to the space between crosshairs and target, her finger took up trigger, slack smoothly, steadily. No jerk, no flinch. She fired. The Mk-13 kicked against her shoulder with familiar force. Through her scope, she saw nothing for a moment, then saw a figure pitch forward from the concealed platform. The body tumbled through branches, crashing through foliage that had hidden him so perfectly, hitting the forest floor 38 meters below, with a sound that made everyone flinch. 1 down, 7 to go. But now the enemy knew someone was hunting them. The remaining snipers adjusted, going quiet, going still, becoming even more difficult to find. Alex was already moving, sliding backward and relocating 30 meters left. Never fire twice from the same position. Fundamental sniper doctrine drilled into her until it was reflex. Her new position was behind a cluster of large rocks, providing excellent cover while maintaining good fields of fire into the canopy. She settled in scope up, scanning with patient precision. The forest seemed empty, nothing moving, no targets visible. But Alex knew they were there. She'd counted 8 positions before shooting started, tracked muzzle flashes and impacts, built a mental map of where each enemy sniper had to be based on their fields of fire. Second target. 2 o'clock 42 meters up. She couldn't see him, but she could see where he had to be. A thick branch that could support a prone shooter with enough foliage for concealment, but gaps allowing him to shoot. She watched that position with absolute stillness, becoming part of the landscape, her camouflage form, blending with rocks and shadows. 30 seconds passed, 60, 90, then movement. Just a few inches, but the branch shifted slightly under redistributed weight. Someone up there shifting position, trying to get a better angle. Alex's scope was already on the spot. She watched, waited, saw a gap in the foliage open for just a second as branches moved. In that second, she fired. Through her scope, she saw the impact center mass exactly where it needed to be. The figure jerked, then fell tumbling through the canopy in that terrible slow-motion way falling bodies have. 2 down, 6 to go. The sound of Warren's voice on the radio barely registered. "Blackwood, what the hell? How are you finding them?" Alex didn't answer. Talking wasted time, wasted focus could give away her position. She let her rifle do the talking. Third target, a clock at 35 meters uprange, approximately 290 meters. This one was smart, hadn't fired since her first shot, hadn't moved, was using excellent camouflage and staying absolutely still. But Alex could see the scope glint, tiny, almost imperceptible, just a momentary flash as the enemy sniper moved his rifle and sunlight caught the objective lens. That tiny flash was a death sentence. Alex waited patient as stone. The enemy sniper shifted again just millimeters, but enough to create another glint. She fired. 3 down, 5 to go. The enemy was panicking now. She could tell by the way they were moving, faster, less careful, breaking the discipline that had made them so effective initially. Fear made people sloppy. Fear made them make mistakes. Alex was about to capitalize on every mistake they made. Fourth target, at the clock, 5 meters uprange, 380 meters. This one broke cover completely, trying to relocate to a better position, visible for maybe 5 seconds as he moved along a thick branch with rifle slung. Huge mistake. Alex tracked him smoothly, crosshairs, following his movement, leading him by inches to account for speed and direction. She fired at the apex of her respiratory pause when her body was at its stillest. The bullet caught him mid-step. He dropped his rifle first, clutching at his chest, then toppled forward. His body hit branches on the way down, bouncing between limbs like a rag doll before crashing to earth. 4 down, 4 to go. Meow! In the 6 months since joining SEAL Team 7, Alex had wondered when, if the moment would come. The moment when her specialized training, her past, her true capabilities would be needed. Part of her had hoped it never would, that she could simply be what she appeared to be: a competent SEAL operator, a reliable teammate, nothing more, nothing less. She'd integrated herself carefully, kept her shooting scores excellent but not suspicious, participated in training without drawing attention, been useful without being exceptional, just one of the team. But now, as she lined up her 5th shot, another enemy sniper visible against the trunk of a pine as he attempted to descend rather than stay in his compromised position. She knew the facade was over. As a child, Alex had discovered her gift almost by accident. Target shooting with her father, a Marine Corps veteran, she'd hit the bullseye 10 times in a row at an age when most kids could barely hold the rifle steady. By 16, she was winning national competitions. By 20, she'd been recruited into the Marine Scout Sniper School, despite the official prohibition against women in combat roles. Then came Ghost Protocol, a classified joint task force specializing in counter-sniper operations, hunting enemy marksmen who were killing coalition forces. Alex had found her calling. 2 years, 87 missions, mostly solo or with minimal support, deep penetration into hostile territory, long-duration observation, elimination of high-value targets. Until the mission that went wrong. The mission where she'd tracked Sasha Petrov, the Russian sniper, responsible for 17 coalition deaths, to a valley in Afghanistan. She had him in her sights, a 400-meter shot well within her capabilities. But she'd hesitated, second-guessed the wind call, and the shot went wide. Petrov had immediately returned fire of the round, catching Michael Shepard, her spotter, her mentor, her friend, in the throat. He died in her arms, blood bubbling from his lips as he tried to tell her something she'd never hear. After that, Ghost Protocol had changed. Or maybe she had. Solo missions became the norm. She developed a reputation, the Ghost, the operator, who appeared from nowhere, eliminated enemy snipers with surgical precision, then vanished. The perfect hunter, the perfect killer, and the loneliest person on Earth. Now, as she fired her 5th shot and watched another enemy sniper fall, Alex felt something she hadn't felt in years. Connection, purpose beyond the kill. She wasn't just eliminating targets. She was protecting her team, her people. 5th shot, 5th kill, 3 to go. Alex relocated again, moving to higher ground where a rocky outcrop gave her better elevation and sight lines. From here, she could see more of the canopy, had better angles into positions that would be hidden from ground level. 6th target, 9 o'clock, 32 meters up. This one had abandoned his position and was trying to climb down the tree trunk, moving as fast as he could while maintaining 3 points of contact. Bad tactics. In his rush to escape, he'd made himself visible against the tree bark. Alex caught him halfway down, about 15 meters up, completely exposed. The shot was almost too easy. Stationary target at 310 meters with no obstructions. She fired. 6 down, 2 to go. As she scanned for the remaining targets, something caught her eye, a flash of movement, something familiar about it. The way a rifle was brought to shoulder, the precise economy of motion. She froze. She knew that movement pattern, had studied it obsessively for months after Afghanistan, had watched every scrap of footage intelligence could provide. Sasha Petrov, the man who had killed Michael, the man whose shot had left the scar tissue still visible on Alex's left shoulder, the ghost she'd been hunting for 2 years. And now he was here, in this forest, hunting her team. This wasn't a random ambush. It was a trap, and SEAL Team 7 had walked right into it. Warren's voice crackled over the radio. Blackwood, we've got movement on the ground. 2 enemy personnel moving east approximately 450 meters out. Alex was already repositioning, moving to where she'd have line of sight on eastern approaches. She found position behind a fallen tree, dropped prone scope up and tracking. Found them. 2 figures in camouflage gear moving through the forest at a dead run, abandoning their elevated positions and trying to escape on foot. One was average height, moving with the distinctive gait of someone favoring an old injury. Petrov, range 520 meters through scattered vegetation. Difficult shot, but Alexandra Blackwood had made worse. She tracked him, calculated his speed, approximately 6 meters per second in rough terrain, led him by a full meter to account for time of flight, compensated for wind that was stronger at ground level than when shooting into the canopy. Fired. Petrov went down hard, tumbling forward with momentum, rifle skittering away across the forest floor. 7 down, 1 to go. The last runner, the 8th sniper, saw his companion drop, looked back in terror, then ran faster. But fear made him stupid. He was running in a straight line following an old game trail, not using cover. Fatal mistake. Alex tracked him, watched his pattern, calculated the intercept point. He was increasing range now, 580 meters, which put him near the edge of her effective range in these conditions. She compensated for increased distance for wind for angle as he moved slightly uphill. The math was complex, but she didn't think about it consciously anymore. It was intuitive, instinctive product of thousands of shots fired over years of training. Her finger found the trigger. Smooth press, perfect release. The Mk-13 spoke one last time. 600 meters away, the last enemy sniper stumbled, took 3 more steps on pure momentum, then collapsed face first into the ferns. 8 down, 0 to go. Alex remained in position, scope scanning, looking for any additional threats, making absolutely certain there were no more enemy positions. She stayed there for a full 3 minutes, watching, waiting, analyzing. Nothing. The forest was quiet except for sounds of Miller working on Rivera Hayes groaning as someone helped him with his wound, and the heavy breathing of SEALs who had just stared death in the face and lived. Only then did Alex key her radio. All targets neutralized. 8 enemy snipers confirmed down. Area is secure. Recommend we establish perimeter and treat wounded while we wait for QRF. Warren's response was immediate, but his voice had changed. There was something in it, a mix of respect and disbelief, and the kind of awe that came from watching someone do something that shouldn't be possible. Blackwood, Jesus Christ, did you just eliminate 8 snipers by yourself? Yes, sir. Total engagement time approximately 12 minutes from first shot to last. There was a long pause. Alex could imagine Warren trying to process what he'd just witnessed. All elements hold current positions. Establish security perimeter. Miller status on casualties. Miller's voice came back, still tight with stress, but more controlled now that the shooting had stopped. Rivera is stable. Chest seal is holding. Breathing is improving. Still critical, but he's not going to die on us. Hayes has stopped bleeding. Wound is through and through. Missed everything important. He'll need surgery, but he's stable. I can keep them alive until evac arrives. Copy. Blackwood, return to position. I want you on security in case there are more out there. Roger that. Alex slung her rifle and moved back toward the team position, taking a circuitous route that kept her in cover. As she approached, she could see the other SEALs staring at her with expressions ranging from disbelief to something approaching reverence. Cooper, the 25-year-old, who'd been one of the loudest voices questioning her capabilities, just stood there shaking his head slowly. I've been shooting with this team for 3 years, he said. I've worked with some of the best marksmen in the Navy, and I've never seen anything even close to what you just did, not even in the same universe. Rivera, lying on the ground with Miller's hands on his chest, maintaining pressure, managed a weak smile. Blackwood, that was the most beautiful shooting I've ever seen in my life. And I say that as someone who's currently bleeding because I couldn't make those shots. Alex knelt beside him, checking his color, his breathing. You took a hit because you were doing your job, returning fire and protecting the team. That's exactly what you should have been doing. Yeah, but I couldn't see them. How the hell did you see them? Half those shots, I couldn't even find the targets through my scope. Different training, Alex said simply. She looked at Miller. What do you need? Keep pressure here while I prep an IV. He's lost a lot of blood. Alex took over pressure duty, her hands steady and precise. This close, Rivera could see her eyes calm, focused, showing none of the adrenaline dump everyone else was experiencing. You're not even shaking, he said. We just had the worst firefight of my life, and you're steady as a rock. Adrenaline management. Part of the training. Hayes, sitting propped against a tree with a pressure bandage on his shoulder, spoke up. Blackwood, I've been in this business for 18 years. I've worked with Marine Scout snipers, Army Special Forces snipers, the best shooters in JSOC. What you just did, 8 targets at extended ranges through heavy vegetation while under fire. That's not standard SEAL capability. Hell, that's not standard anything capability. Warren approached, having secured the perimeter. He looked at Alex with an expression she couldn't quite read. Blackwood, we need to talk. Then, raising his voice so the whole team could hear, everyone listen up. What Petty Officer Blackwood just did saved all our lives. Without her, we'd be counting body bags right now. I want everyone to understand that clearly. He turned back to Alex, voice lower. Now, who are you really? Because the person who just did what you did isn't the same person who's been on this team for 6 months without firing a shot in combat. Alex was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Sir, I'm exactly the same person. I just hadn't had a reason to shoot before. This team hadn't encountered situations where precision long-range fire was the solution until today. Bullshit, Hayes said bluntly. You don't learn to shoot like that from standard SEAL sniper school. You learn that from somewhere else, somewhere specialized. Alex met Warren's eyes. Sir, my service record has gaps that are classified. I was assigned to a joint task force for 2 years before I transferred to Team 7. That unit specialized in counter-sniper operations, hunting enemy snipers, specifically. The missions are still classified and I can't discuss them. Warren processed this. A counter-sniper unit. That explained a lot. Those units were small, highly specialized, operating in shadows, doing work that never made it into official reports. How many? He asked quietly. Sir, how many enemy snipers did you eliminate during those 2 years? Alex was silent for a long moment. More than 8, sir. Significantly more than 8. The team absorbed this in silence. They'd been operating with someone who was essentially an elite sniper hunter, and they hadn't known it, hadn't even suspected. Why didn't you tell us? Cooper asked, not accusatory, just genuinely curious. Because it wasn't relevant, Alex said. I'm not here to be a one-trick pony. I'm here to be part of this team doing team operations. The fact that my previous assignment gave me a particular skill set is just coincidental. I'm here because I wanted to be part of a team again, not operating alone. Warren nodded slowly, understanding more than she'd said. Operating alone. That meant the counter-sniper missions had been solo or near-solo operations deep behind enemy lines, hunting the hunters, eliminating enemy snipers who were killing coalition forces. That was dangerous work, lonely work, the kind of work that broke some people. Miller finished treating Rivera and moved to check on Hayes. Alex watched her work, efficient and focused. Then she turned to look at the forest where somewhere out there Petrov's body lay cooling in the underbrush. She'd finally gotten him, finally avenged Michael. But as she looked at the faces of her teammates, people she'd come to care about, to respect, she realized something important. The kill hadn't been about revenge. It had been about protection, about keeping her team alive. Maybe that was the difference. Maybe that was why this felt different from all those solo missions with Ghost Protocol. She wasn't just eliminating a threat. She was saving people she cared about. Warren touched her shoulder, pulling her from her thoughts. When we get back to base, we're going to have a long conversation about your previous experience and how it can benefit this team going forward. But for now, I just want to say thank you. What you did today, there's not a person here who isn't alive because of you. Alex nodded, uncomfortable with the praise. Just doing my job, sir. Your job saved 12 lives. That's worth acknowledging. In the distance, they could hear the approaching thump of helicopter rotors. The QRF was finally arriving. Alex looked around at her teammates, battered, bloodied, but alive. All alive. For the first time since Michael Shepard had died in her arms, Alexandra Blackwood felt something like peace. The QRF helicopter descended into a small clearing 300 meters from where SEAL Team 7 had established their defensive position. Its rotors kicked up a storm of leaves and pine needles that downwashed, creating a temporary microclimate beneath the massive aircraft. 2 more Blackhawks followed, disgorging a dozen armed operators who immediately formed a defensive perimeter. Alexandra Blackwood watched from her overwatch position, Mk-13 rifle still at the ready. Even with the enemy snipers eliminated, she maintained vigilance. Experience had taught her that assumptions got people killed, especially assumptions about safety. The medical evacuation team reached Rivera first. His condition had stabilized thanks to Miller's battlefield medicine, but he still needed urgent surgical care. They transferred him onto a collapsible stretcher with practiced efficiency, connecting him to portable monitoring equipment as they moved. Hayes could walk with assistance, his arm immobilized in a sling. The bullet had passed clean through his shoulder without hitting bone or major blood vessels. Lucky considering the skill of the shooters who targeted them. Warren approached this QRF commander, a naval special warfare officer Alex didn't recognize. They exchanged information in the clipped, precise language of professionals under pressure. She watched Warren gesture toward the forest canopy several times, no doubt explaining the unprecedented shooting display he just witnessed. The commander's eyes found Alex across the clearing. Even at this distance, she could read his expression, skepticism mixed with curiosity. She'd seen it before. The look of someone hearing something too extraordinary to believe, but coming from a source too reliable to dismiss. Blackwood, Warren called over the tactical radio. We're moving out. I want you to walk the QRF team through the enemy positions. They need to collect intelligence before we extract. Roger that, she replied, slinging her rifle and descending from her final shooting position. The QRF commander met her at the edge of the clearing. Captain Lewis, according to his name tape, mid-40s, the weathered look of a career operator. Petty Officer Blackwood, he asked, extending his hand. Lieutenant Warren tells me you're responsible for eliminating 8 enemy snipers in... He checked his watch. 12 minutes. Yes, sir, Alex replied simply. Lewis studied her face, looking for something. Arrogance, perhaps. Or deception. He found neither. Show me, he said finally. Alex led a team of 4 operators through the forest, pointing out each shooting position and explaining how she'd identified the targets. At the 5th position, one of the QRF team members, a senior chief with sniper tabs on his uniform, shook his head in disbelief. You took this shot from 3 meters while he was moving along that branch. He pointed to the thick limb where the enemy sniper had briefly exposed himself. Through this foliage. Yes, Chief, Alex confirmed. That's... He trailed off, searching for the right word. That's not standard SEAL shooting. That's not standard anything. When they reached the position where she'd eliminated Petrov, Alex felt a strange emptiness. For 2 years, she'd been driven by the need to find and eliminate the man who'd killed Michael. Now that she'd done it, now that she'd put a round through his center mass from 520 meters, she felt nothing. No satisfaction. No closure. Just the hollow recognition of a mission completed. The QRF operators found Petrov's body where it had fallen. They secured his weapon, a Russian-made Ursus T-5000 sniper rifle with custom modifications, and began searching him for intelligence. Blackwood, one called. You should see this. Alex approached as the operator held up a folded piece of paper recovered from Petrov's pocket. On it was her name. Her real name, not the call sign she'd used in Ghost Protocol. Along with it were details about SEAL Team 7's patrol route, timing, and composition. This wasn't a random encounter, the operator said. This was a targeted ambush. They were waiting for you specifically. Alex felt cold dread settle in her stomach. How had Petrov known? How had he known she'd be here on this patrol with this team? Unless, I need to speak with Lieutenant Warren, she said, already moving back toward the extraction point. Warren was helping load Hayes into the medical evacuation helicopter when Alex reached him. His face showed the strain of the day, the near loss of his team, the revelation about Blackwood's true capabilities, the aftermath of intense combat. But he still carried himself with the steady confidence that had earned him his leadership position. Sir, we have a problem, Alex said without preamble. Petrov had intelligence, specific intelligence, about our patrol route timing and personnel. She hesitated, then added the most disturbing detail. He knew my name, my real name. Warren's expression darkened. Are you saying we have a security breach? I'm saying this wasn't a coincidence, sir. These weren't random enemy forces who stumbled across us. They set up a deliberate ambush targeting me specifically. Why would they target you? Because I spent 2 years hunting them. Alex's voice remained steady, but her eyes betrayed the intensity beneath. And they've apparently been hunting me too. Warren processed this for a moment. We'll discuss this at base. Right now, we need to get our wounded to proper medical facilities. You ride in the second bird. I want your full debrief as soon as we're back in secure territory. As Alex climbed aboard the Black Hawk, she cast one last look at the forest that had nearly become their graveyard. Somewhere out there were the answers to how Petrov had found her. And until she had those answers, neither she nor anyone connected to her was safe. The flight back to base took 20 minutes, the helicopters maintaining low altitude to avoid potential surface-to-air threats. Alex spent the time disassembling and cleaning her MK-13, an automatic process ingrained through thousands of repetitions. The familiar ritual helped calm her mind, center her thoughts. Upon landing, where Rivera and Hayes were rushed to the forward surgical team, the rest of SEAL Team 7, physically intact but mentally drained, were directed to immediate debriefing. Intelligence officers were already waiting. Word of what had happened in the forest of a single operator, eliminating 8 enemy snipers in 12 minutes, had traveled ahead of them. Alex could see it in the intelligence officers' faces as she entered the secure briefing room, the mixture of disbelief and fascination. For the next 4 hours, Alex walked them through every detail of the engagement, each target acquisition, each shot calculation, each kill confirmation. She drew diagrams, explained her methodologies, answered questions about techniques that most of the men present had never seen employed outside of theoretical training. "So you're saying you could see these targets despite the dense foliage?" Major Richards, the lead intelligence officer, asked skeptically. "I could see indicators of their positions," Alex corrected. "Movement patterns, geometric anomalies, light refraction through the canopy. And you made these determinations in fractions of a second. It's pattern recognition, sir. After enough experience, you don't consciously process it anymore. You just see it." Richards exchanged glances with his colleagues. "And this expertise came from your time with, what did you call it, Ghost Protocol?" Alex hesitated, looking to Warren. He nodded almost imperceptibly. "Yes, sir. Ghost Protocol was a joint task force specializing in counter-sniper operations. For 2 years, I conducted missions targeting enemy snipers who were killing coalition forces." "How many missions, petty officer?" 87, sir." A murmur ran through the room. "And your success rate?" Alex's jaw tightened. 86 successful eliminations, 1 failure. The failure being Sasha Petrov, the leader of the sniper team we encountered today. She kept her voice neutral through force of will. Until today, he had evaded elimination. Richards leaned back, studying her. "And it never occurred to you that this information might have been relevant to include in your operational briefings with SEAL Team 7? With all due respect, Sir, Ghost Protocol was classified above the clearance level of this unit. I was under direct orders not to disclose my involvement." "Even at the cost of operational security," Warren interrupted. "Major Petty Officer Blackwood has followed protocol. Her previous assignments were not relevant until this specific tactical situation arose, at which point she utilized her specialized skills to save the lives of every member of my team. I believe the appropriate response is thank you, not an interrogation." Richards looked like he wanted to argue, but instead collected his notes. "We'll need a complete written report by 0800 tomorrow. And Blackwood, I'll be contacting your former command for verification of this Ghost Protocol." "I understand, sir." After the intelligence officers left, Warren turned to the remnants of his team. Cooper, Torres, Jackson, Miller, all still processing what they'd witnessed. "Get some rest," he told them. "We'll reconvene at 1000 hours tomorrow after the medical team has updated us on Hayes and Rivera." As they filed out, Warren called Blackwood. "Stay behind." Once they were alone, Warren's professional demeanor softened slightly. "You did good work today, exceptional work. But I need to know everything if I'm going to keep this team safe. No more surprises." Alex nodded. "I understand, sir. So tell me about Ghost Protocol. The real story, not the sanitized version you gave the intelligence boys." Alex closed her eyes briefly, gathering her thoughts. When she opened them, she looked older, somehow weighted by memories few could comprehend. It started after Operation Enduring Freedom saw a spike in coalition casualties from enemy marksmen. Someone in JSOC realized we needed a specialized unit to counter the sniper threat. They pulled the best long-range shooters from every branch, gave us specialized training, and sent us hunting. And you were among the best? I had certain advantages, natural gifts that made me particularly effective at counter-sniper operations, such as I can see patterns others miss, process visual information faster than standard, and I have abnormally steady hands. My resting heart rate is 38 beats per minute, and I can control my breathing to extend the firing window between heartbeats." Warren shook his head. "That sounds like something from a comic book." "It's just biology, sir. The same way some people have perfect pitch or can run a 4-minute mile. I happen to get a useful set of traits for precision shooting." "So they made you a sniper hunter?" "Yes. We worked almost exclusively alone or with minimal support. Deep penetration, long-duration surveillance, precision elimination. We'd track enemy snipers to their hiding spots and take them out before they could kill more of our people. Warren studied her. That kind of work changes a person. Yes, sir, it does. What happened with Petrov? The mission that failed, Alex's expression hardened. 2 years ago near the Pakistan border, my spotter and I tracked Petrov for 11 days through the mountains. When we finally had him in position for the shot, I hesitated. She looked down at her hands. 400 meters, minimal crosswind, a shot I'd made hundreds of times before, but I second-guessed myself at the last second, adjusted when I shouldn't have. The round went wide. And Petrov returned fire immediately, hit my spotter Michael Shepard in the throat. Her voice remained steady, but Warren could see the pain behind her eyes. He died in my arms while Petrov escaped. That was my last mission with a partner. After that, I worked alone. Warren absorbed this. And now Petrov found you, with intelligence about our team. Yes, sir, which means that there's a leak somewhere. Someone who knew I was with SEAL Team 7 knew our patrol routes. Someone with access to both Ghost Protocol personnel files and our operational details. Yes, sir, Warren stood, decision made. Get some rest, Blackwood. Tomorrow we start figuring out who sold us out. Alex returned to her quarters, but sleep eluded her. Her mind kept replaying the day's events. The forest, the shots. Petrov falling as her bullet found him at 520 meters. And beneath it all, the question, who had betrayed them? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at her door. She opened it to find Raymond Bishop, still wearing his civilian clothes, standing in the dim hallway light. May I come in? He asked. Alex stepped aside. Bishop entered, his eyes quickly scanning the sparse room habit from decades of operational security. I heard what happened, he said without preamble. 8 targets in 12 minutes. Petrov among them. News travels fast. In our world like wildfire. Bishop settled into the room's only chair. How are you holding up? Fine. Bishop's expression showed he didn't believe her. You finally got him. The man who killed Michael. Yes. And what? Did it fix anything? Bishop asked quietly. Alex turned away, unable to meet his gaze. No, Michael's still dead. I still failed him. He wouldn't see it that way. He'd be proud of you. For what? Waiting 2 years to make the shot I should have made the first time. For saving your team today. For not letting what happened with Michael destroy you completely. Bishop leaned forward. I've seen what this work does to people, Alex. Most don't last 5 missions, let alone 87. The fact that you're still functioning, still human, that's a victory. Alex remained silent. There's something else you should know, Bishop said after a moment. Petrov's team wasn't operating independently. They were contracted. By whom? That's the million-dollar question. Intelligence is still parsing through the equipment you recovered, but preliminary analysis suggests Russian private military contractors with connections to their intelligence apparatus. What would Russian intelligence want with a SEAL reconnaissance patrol? Maybe nothing. Maybe they were after you specifically. Alex considered this. Because of what I did with Ghost Protocol eliminating their assets. Possibly. Or because of what you might know. Bishop stood, his knee cracking audibly, a reminder of his age despite his still formidable physique. The unit wasn't just about eliminating enemy snipers, Alex. Some of the missions had intelligence-gathering components. You saw things, recovered information. Nothing worth this level of response. Are you sure about that? Think back. 87 missions over 2 years. Was there anything unusual? Anything that stood out? Alex started to shake her head, then paused. A memory surfaced, a mission in the Caucasus Mountains 8 months before Michael's death. They'd eliminated their primary target, but in the aftermath, while securing the area, she discovered a laptop. Standard protocol was to recover any intelligence materials, so she'd brought it back despite it not being part of their original mission parameters. There was one operation, she said slowly. Northern Georgia near the Russian border. We found a laptop in the target's possession. I turned it over to intelligence when we got back to base. Do you know what was on it? No, it wasn't relevant to our mission. We were focused on eliminating the sniper threat. Bishop nodded. I'll make some inquiries. In the meantime, watch your back. If Petrov found you once, others might too. After Bishop left, Alex lay on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. Sleep was a lost cause. Her mind raced with possibilities, with questions, with the nagging suspicion that there was more to this than a simple ambush. Dawn found her at the base's shooting range, the MK-13 a familiar weight against her shoulder. She fired methodically each round, finding its mark with unerring precision. The repetitive action helped quiet her thoughts, focus her mind. Impressive, a voice said from behind her. Alex turned to find Cooper watching from the sideline. The young SEAL had the puffy-eyed look of someone who hadn't slept well. Thanks, she replied, clearing her weapon before setting it down. Couldn't sleep, he asked. Not really. Cooper stepped closer. I owe you an apology. I've been less than welcoming since you joined the team. You had no reason to think I was anything special. That's just it, Cooper said, frustration evident in his voice. I should have. The way you move, the way you observe, the way you're always scanning, always aware. All the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. Why not? Cooper looked away. Pride, I guess. I was supposed to be the team's rising star. Then you showed up and everyone Hayes warned they all saw something in you that they didn't see in me. It's not a competition, Cooper. Everything's a competition in our world. He met her gaze. But yesterday, what you did out there, I've never seen anything like it. Never even heard of anything like it. 8 targets, 12 minutes through dense foliage at ranges out to 600 meters. He shook his head in disbelief. How long did it take you to get that good? I've been shooting since I was 7. My father was a Marine sniper. He taught me the basics. The rest is just time and practice. And natural talent, Cooper added. Some things can't be taught. Alex shrugged. Maybe, but most of it is discipline and repetition. Anyone can learn to shoot well. Few are willing to put in the thousands of hours it takes to shoot exceptionally. Would you? Cooper hesitated. Would you be willing to show me some of your techniques, not the classified stuff, just the shooting fundamentals? Alex studied him, seeing past the bravado to the genuine desire to improve. Sure, when we get some downtime. Cooper nodded, some of the tension leaving his shoulders. Thanks, and seriously, thank you for yesterday. If you hadn't been there, he trailed off, not needing to finish the thought. As Cooper left, Alex reflected on how quickly things had changed. 24 hours ago, she'd been just another team member, her specialized skills hidden behind a facade of normalcy. Now everyone knew what she could do, what she had done. The mask was gone, and she wasn't sure if that was liberating or terrifying. At 1,000 hours, what remained of SEAL Team 7 gathered for Warren's briefing. The lieutenant looked like he hadn't slept at all, dark circles under his eyes, contrasting with the determined set of his jaw. Rivera's going to make it, he announced without preamble. Surgery went well. He'll be out of commission for at least 8 weeks, but the doctors expect a full recovery. Hayes is already complaining about being stuck in a hospital bed, which the medical team assures me is a good sign. Relief rippled through the group. They'd been lucky, extremely lucky. Now, as for yesterday's incident, Warren continued, I've spoken with command. They're treating this as a deliberate targeted operation against U.S. forces with possible intelligence implications. As of now, our deployment status is unchanged, but our operational parameters have been modified. He activated a display screen showing a map of the region. Intelligence analysis of the equipment recovered from the enemy sniper team suggests they were contracted by Russian-backed separatists operating in this area. He indicated a section along the border. Their presence this deep in NATO territory represents a significant escalation. Sir, Miller spoke up. Are we certain they were after the team? Or could they have been specifically targeting Blackwood because of her previous operations? Warren glanced at Alex. That possibility is being investigated. Either way, it represents a security breach that we need to identify and neutralize. Which brings me to our next steps. He switched the display to show a complex organizational chart. Command has authorized a counterintelligence operation to identify the source of the leak. We'll be working with NSA and CIA assets to trace the intelligence Petrov had on our team and Petty Officer Blackwood's identity. And in the meantime, sir, Torres asked, are we standing down? No, we're continuing operations with modified protocols. No fixed patterns, random route selection, and enhanced communication security. Warren's gaze swept the room. Until we know who compromised us, we assume all standard channels are vulnerable. Alex felt the weight of the team's eyes on her. She'd brought this danger to them unwittingly, but the result was the same. People she cared about had nearly died because someone somewhere had connected her to SEAL Team 7 and passed that information to the enemy. There's one more thing, Warren said. Effective immediately, Blackwood is being officially designated as our primary precision marksman. Her previous experience will be incorporated into our tactical planning. Miller, I want you working with her on advanced battlefield medicine. Cooper, you'll train under her for intermediate precision shooting. Torres, coordinate with her on terrain analysis and target acquisition. He turned to Alex. Blackwood, I need everything you can give us on counter-sniper operations. If there are more of Petrov's associates out there, we need to be ready. Understood, sir. After the briefing, Alex made her way to the base hospital to check on Rivera and Hayes. She found Rivera awake, his chest heavily bandaged, but his color much improved from the ashen pallor of the previous day. There she is, he said with a weak smile, the ghost herself. Alex raised an eyebrow. Ghost? That's what they're calling you now. The way you disappeared during the firefight, then started dropping targets nobody else could even see. Rivera attempted a shrug, then winced at the movement. Call signs have been given for less. I don't need a call sign. Too late, it's already sticking. Even the QRF guys are using it. Alex sat in the chair beside his bed. How are you feeling? Like I got shot at the chest. His attempt at humor faded into a more serious expression. The doctor said if that chest seal hadn't gone on when it did, I'd have been dead in minutes. So thanks for saving my ass out there. Miller did the medical work. I just handled the shooting. Yeah, about that. Rivera studied her. Hayes told me a bit more about this ghost protocol thing. Said you spent 2 years hunting enemy snipers on solo missions. That true? Yes. Must have been lonely. Alex hadn't expected that response. Most people focused on the danger, the technical challenges, the kill count. Not the solitude. It was, she admitted. That's why I transferred to a team. I needed to be around people again. Rivera nodded as if that made perfect sense. Well, I'm glad you found us, even if it did nearly get us all killed. He smiled to show he was joking, then grew serious again. Warren says someone leaked intelligence about you. That this Petrov guy knew exactly who and where you'd be. That's what it looks like. Any ideas who? Alex shook her head. Access to both Ghost Protocol personnel files and SEAL Team 7 operational details narrows it down, but it's still a considerable list. Someone high up then, or someone with excellent hacking skills. Rivera considered this. Either way, they're still out there. And if they gave up your identity once, they could do it again, Alex finished. I know. So what's the plan? Find them before they can cause any more damage. And how exactly do you plan to do that? Alex stood. By using what I'm good at, hunting. As she left the hospital, Alex's phone vibrated with a text message. Unknown number, but the content made the sender clear. Meet me at the old observation post. 1600. Come alone. B. Bishop. The old observation post was their code for a specific location, a disused communications relay station on the edge of the base that had been largely forgotten during recent modernization efforts. It offered privacy without the suspicion that would come from leaving the secure perimeter. At precisely 1600 hours, Alex arrived at the abandoned relay station. The small concrete structure was partially overgrown with vegetation, its purpose obscured by years of neglect. Perfect for a clandestine meeting. Bishop was already inside, standing beside a folding table he'd apparently brought with him. On it lay a laptop, several folders, and what looked like signal analysis equipment. Thanks for coming, he said, gesturing her inside. Sorry for the cloak and dagger, but I'm not sure who we can trust right now. What have you found? Alex asked, getting straight to the point. The laptop you recovered in Georgia. I tracked down the intelligence officer who processed it, an old friend who owed me a favor. He remembered it because of what they found inside. Bishop opened one of the folders, revealing a series of photographs. The device contained communications between Russian military intelligence and a network of deep cover assets across NATO command structures. Alex studied the images. Sleeper agents, more sophisticated than that. These weren't ideological plans from the Cold War era. These were modern intelligence assets, blackmailed officials, compromised military officers, bribed contractors. A complete shadow network with tentacles reaching into every level of NATO operations. And someone in that network knew about Ghost Protocol, knew about me. Bishop nodded grimly. After you brought in that laptop, a task force was quietly assembled to identify and neutralize these infiltrators. They've been working for nearly 3 years, making careful progress to avoid tipping off the entire network. But something changed. Yes. Bishop pulled up an encrypted file on the laptop. 3 weeks ago, there was a security breach at Fort Meade. Nothing major, a low-level systems intrusion that was quickly contained. But in that brief window, someone accessed personnel files related to Ghost Protocol operators, including me, including your current assignment with SEAL Team 7. Bishop's weathered face was grim. Someone on the inside helped Petrov find you, Alex. Someone with access to both the Ghost Protocol files and your current deployment details. Have they identified the source? Not yet. The intrusion was sophisticated, multiple proxy servers bounced signals. Professional work. Alex processed this. So I'm still a target. Potentially, but you're also bait. She raised an eyebrow. Explain. Whoever arranged for Petrov to ambush your team expected everyone to die out there. They didn't count on your exceptional abilities. Now they know their operation failed, and they know that you're aware someone betrayed you. Bishop leaned forward. People who've been compromised tend to make mistakes when their plans go awry. They get nervous, sloppy. You want to use me to flush them out. With your agreement, yes. Command is setting up a counterintelligence operation. They'll feed controlled information through suspected channels, see where it leads. And in the meantime, I'm walking around with a target on my back. You'll have protection, your team for starters. Warren's been briefed on the general situation. Alex considered the implications. If I'm bait, then everyone around me is at risk too. That's why we're having this conversation privately. You need all the information to make your own decision. If you want out, if you want to be extracted to a secure location until this is resolved, that option is available. Alex almost laughed and missed the chance to find the person who nearly got my team killed. Not a chance. Bishop studied her, a hint of pride in his eyes. I told him you'd say that. So what's next? You continue operations with your team. Act normal but stay vigilant. We'll be monitoring communications, looking for any unusual patterns or transmissions. When we identify a probable leak source, we'll feed them specific information, a falsified operation plan that would put you in a vulnerable position. And when they take the bait, we'll be waiting, and this time we'll be the ones setting the ambush. As Alex left the meeting with Bishop, the weight of what she'd learned pressed down on her. Someone had betrayed her team. Someone with high-level access had compromised their security, put them in mortal danger. And until that person was identified, the threat remained. But for the first time since Michael's death, she felt a sense of purpose beyond mere survival or redemption. This wasn't just about avenging the past anymore. It was about protecting her team, her new family, from those who would harm them. She thought about Cooper's request for training, about Rivera recovering in his hospital bed, about Hayes with his bandaged shoulder, about Warren carrying the burden of command while facing an invisible threat, about Miller whose steady hands had kept Rivera alive. These were her people now, and she would do whatever was necessary to keep them safe, even if it meant becoming bait in a trap designed to catch a traitor. The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. SEAL Team 7 operated on heightened alert, adjusting to new security protocols while incorporating Alex's specialized knowledge into their tactical planning. In the morning, she conducted training sessions with Cooper and Torres, teaching them the fundamentals of counter-sniper operations. In the afternoon, she worked with Warren and intelligence officers, helping construct the trap for whoever had betrayed them. Through it all, Alex felt a strange sense of release. For 6 months, she'd hidden what she was, maintained the facade of being just another operator. Now that her teammates knew the truth, knew about Ghost Protocol, about her extraordinary abilities, about her past, she no longer had to pretend to be less than she was. On the 4th morning after the ambush, Alex found herself on the shooting range with Cooper. The young SEAL had proven to be an eager student, absorbing her teachings with a voracious appetite for knowledge. Breathe, she instructed, as Cooper prepared to take his shot. Half exhale, then hold. Find the space between your heartbeats. Cooper adjusted his position behind the SR-25, his body relaxed but stable. The range markers showed 800 meters, well beyond standard qualification distance. I can't feel the pause between heartbeats, he muttered. You don't need to feel it, just know it's there. Trust your body's rhythm. Cooper took a slow breath, exhaled halfway, and gently squeezed the trigger. The rifle cracked. Through her spotting scope, Alex watched the round impact 2 inches left of center mass on the human-shaped target. Better, she said. Much better. You're still anticipating the recoil slightly. Let the shot surprise you. Cooper nodded, reacquiring his sight picture. This is insane, you know. Most guys train for years to shoot at these distances effectively. You're teaching me to do it in days. I'm not teaching you to do what I do, Alex corrected. I'm teaching you the fundamentals. The rest comes with time and practice. Still, Hayes says what you did in that forest, 8 targets, 12 minutes. It shouldn't have been possible. Alex adjusted the settings on her spotting scope. Lots of things seem impossible until someone does them. Cooper took another shot, closer to center this time. Is it true what they're saying, he asked as he reloaded, that we're being used as bait to catch a mole? Alex glanced at him, surprised. Where did you hear that? Come on, Blackwood, this base isn't that big. People talk. especially when a team comes in after eliminating 8 enemy snipers, then suddenly changes all its operational procedures. It's not the team that's bait, Alex said quietly. It's me. Cooper lowered his rifle, turning to face her. You. The ambush was targeted. They knew exactly who I was, what my background was. They knew our patrol route, timing, everything. Someone leaked classified intelligence about Ghost Protocol and my current assignment. And you're okay with being the cheese in this mousetrap? Alex shrugged. Better than waiting for them to try again. Next time we might not be so lucky. Cooper processed this, his youthful face uncharacteristically serious. What can I do to help? Keep training, be ready, and watch my back when the time comes. He nodded, a silent promise passing between them. Then he turned back to his rifle, setting up for another shot. Alex watched him, surprised by the protective instinct she felt. 3 days ago, Cooper had been just another teammate. Now he felt like something more, like family. That afternoon, Warren called a briefing. The team gathered in the secure room, joined by Bishop and a woman Alex didn't recognize. Dark suit, severe expression, the unmistakable bearing of intelligence community leadership. This is Deputy Director Claire Reynolds, CIA Special Activities Division, Warren introduced. She's overseeing the counterintelligence operation. Reynolds nodded to the group. Thank you for your cooperation in this sensitive matter. What I'm about to share is classified at the highest levels. She activated the room's display, showing a complex network diagram. For the past 3 years, we've been working to identify and neutralize a network of Russian assets embedded within NATO command structures. This network was first discovered through intelligence recovered during a Ghost Protocol operation in Georgia. Alex felt Bishop's eyes on her. The laptop, the one she'd recovered during what had seemed like a routine counter-sniper mission. Our efforts have been largely successful, Reynolds continued. We've identified and neutralized approximately 70% of the network. However, our recent progress has forced their hand. They've become more aggressive, targeting specific individuals who pose threats to their operations. Individuals like Blackwood, Warren said. Reynolds nodded. Precisely. Petty Officer Blackwood's counter-sniper operations during her time with Ghost Protocol eliminated several high-value assets. And her recovery of the laptop in Georgia initiated our entire counterintelligence operation. She represents both a symbolic and practical threat to their network. So they sent Petrov after her, Torres observed. Yes, Sasha Petrov was contracted specifically to eliminate Blackwood, and by extension, your entire team. They couldn't afford to leave witnesses. Alex processed this. The laptop I recovered, what exactly was on it? Reynolds hesitated, glancing at Bishop, who nodded slightly. A complete operational database for what the Russians call Program Chimera, a deep-cover intelligence network designed to infiltrate NATO command structures at every level. Names, contact protocols, blackmail materials, financial transactions, everything needed to run a sophisticated network of compromised assets. And I just happened to stumble across this? Alex asked skeptically. No, Bishop interjected. The laptop belonged to Anton Kozlov, the sniper you were sent to eliminate. What intelligence didn't know at the time was that Kozlov wasn't just a sniper. He was also a handler for several Chimera assets in that region. When you eliminated him and recovered his equipment, you inadvertently compromised their entire Eastern European network. Alex remembered the mission, a standard elimination operation against a sniper who'd killed 3 American advisors. Nothing about it had seemed unusual or particularly significant. For the past 3 years, Reynolds continued, we've been quietly identifying and neutralizing these assets, but recent indicators suggest the Russians know we're onto them. They've accelerated their timetable, becoming more aggressive in eliminating perceived threats. Like sending Petrov after Blackwood, Warren said. Exactly. But Petrov's failure has created an opportunity. The remaining network leadership doesn't know exactly what happened in that forest, only that their operation failed and Petrov hasn't reported back. They'll be looking for confirmation, trying to determine if Blackwood is still alive and what we know about their network. And that's where our trap comes in, Bishop added. Reynolds nodded. We've prepared a false operational plan, one that indicates SEAL Team 7 will be conducting a low-profile reconnaissance mission 3 days from now, with limited support in a remote area near the Lithuanian border. With me as the obvious target, Alex concluded. Yes, we'll feed this information through channels we suspect have been compromised. If our suspicions are correct, the enemy will attempt another ambush operation. And we'll be ready for them, Warren said, his voice hard. Precisely. But there's one more layer to this operation. Reynolds activated another display showing a series of signal intercepts. We believe the mole, the person who leaked Blackwood's identity and your patrol route, will attempt to verify the information through their own channels before passing it along. When they do, we'll be monitoring every electronic communication in and out of this base. We'll catch them in the act. So the plan has to appear legitimate, Hayes observed from his seat. The chief petty officer had been released from medical care that morning, his arms still in a sling but otherwise cleared for limited duty. Real enough that the mole believes it and passes it along. Correct, Reynolds confirmed, which means your team needs to make all standard preparations for such a mission. Equipment checks, terrain, familiarization, the works. Everything must look authentic. Warren turned to his team. You heard the deputy director. As far as anyone outside this room is concerned, we're preparing for a standard reconnaissance operation 3 days from now. I want visible preparations but maintain operational security on the details. As the briefing concluded, Alex approached Bishop. You knew, she said quietly. When you arranged for me to join SEAL Team 7, you knew about this network. Bishop's weathered face revealed nothing. I knew they were hunting ghost protocol operators. 3 had already died in accidents before I reached out to you. So you used me as bait. I put you with the best team I could find, knowing they'd have your back when the time came. Bishop met her gaze unflinchingly. I didn't know exactly when or how the enemy would move against you, but I knew they eventually would. Better to have you surrounded by operators I trust than alone. Alex wanted to be angry, but she understood the cold calculus of intelligence work. Sometimes people were pieces on a chessboard moved to draw out an enemy or protect a more valuable asset. Did you know about Petrov, that he was still active? We had indicators he was working again, yes, but no confirmation he'd been contracted to target you specifically. That intel came too late. Alex absorbed this. Any idea who the mole might be? Several possibilities. The circle of people with access to both Ghost Protocol personnel files and SEAL Team 7 operational details is small but not small enough. Could be someone at JSOC Naval Special Warfare Command or the intelligence community. Someone highly placed then? Yes, which makes this all the more dangerous. Bishop put his hand on her shoulder, a rare gesture of affection from the stoic old warrior. Watch yourself, Alex, and trust your team. Warren's a good man, he won't let you down. The next 2 days were a carefully choreographed performance. SEAL Team 7 made visible preparations for their upcoming mission. Cleaning weapons, studying maps of the operational area, conducting communications checks. All standard procedure for a reconnaissance patrol, all designed to convince any watching eyes that the mission was genuine. In the evening before the supposed mission, Alex sat alone in the base's small chapel. She wasn't religious, but the space offered quiet and privacy, a place to center her thoughts before what promised to be a dangerous operation. The door opened behind her. She didn't need to turn to know who it was. The distinctive rhythm of Warren's footsteps was immediately recognizable. Didn't take you for the praying type, he said, sitting beside her in the empty pew. I'm not. Just needed some quiet. Warren nodded. Everything's in place. Reynolds has her people monitoring all communications channels. The false operations plan has been loaded into the secure server. Now we wait to see who accesses it. And tomorrow we proceed as if the mission is real, right up until wheels up. Then we divert to the actual location, the abandoned logging camp 20 kilometers east of the planned insertion point. That's where intelligence believes they'll stage their ambush, assuming the mole takes the bait. They will. It's too tempting a target, your whole team isolated, minimal support. Alex turned to face her commander. I'm sorry I brought this to your door, sir. This isn't your fight. The hell it isn't, Warren replied, his voice low but intense. They targeted my team. Nearly killed 2 of my men. That makes it exactly my fight. Alex studied him, seeing the determination in his eyes, the same protective instinct she'd begun to feel toward the team. Besides, Warren added, this is bigger than just us. This network has compromised NATO operations for years. Taking them down matters. Still, you didn't sign up to be part of a counterintelligence operation. Warren's mouth quirked in a half smile. And you didn't sign up to be bait. Yet here we are. They sat in companionable silence for a moment. Sir, Alex said finally, if something goes wrong tomorrow, it won't. But if it does, I want you to know it's been an honor serving with this team. Even if it was only for 6 months. Warren looked at her, his expression softening slightly. The honor's been ours, Blackwood, though I wish you'd trusted us with the truth from the beginning. I couldn't. Operational security. I know, I understand the protocols, but a team functions best when there's complete trust, no secrets. After tomorrow, no more secrets, Alex promised. You'll know everything there is to know about Ghost Protocol and what I did there. I'll hold you to that. Warren stood. Get some rest, Blackwood. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. After Warren left, Alex remained in the chapel, her mind cycling through contingencies, possible scenarios, defensive measures. The old habits of Ghost Protocol operations, planning for every eventuality, preparing for the worst, while hoping for the best. But one thought kept intruding. She wasn't alone anymore. For 2 years, she'd operated in the shadows, a solitary hunter, tracking deadly prey. Now she had a team, people who knew what she was capable of, people who had her back. It changed everything. Dawn broke clear and cold over the base. SEAL Team 7 assembled at the airfield, going through their final equipment checks. 2 Blackhawks waited on the tarmac, rotors still crew running, pre-flight protocols. Alex checked her MK-13 one last time, confirming the 0, verifying the scope settings. Beside her, Cooper did the same with his SR-25, his movements reflecting what she'd taught him over the past days. Nervous? She asked quietly. Would you think less of me if I said yes? I'd think less of you if you weren't. Fear keeps you sharp. Warren approached his tactical gear, immaculate, his expression professionally neutral. Final comms check, he instructed. Encrypted channel only from here on out. The team verified their communications equipment. Everything was precisely as it would be for a genuine operation. The illusion had to be perfect. As they prepared to board the helicopters, Reynolds appeared at the edge of the tarmac, accompanied by 2 security personnel. She approached Warren, speaking too quietly for Alex to hear. The lieutenant's face registered surprise, then hardening resolve. He nodded once sharply. Reynolds departed as quickly as she'd arrived. Warren gathered his team. Change of plans, he said, his voice tight. The mole has been identified. A ripple of tension ran through the group. Who? Hayes asked. Commander Wilson, Warren replied. Deputy Director of Operations for Naval Special Warfare. He accessed the false operations plan at 0200 this morning, then immediately sent an encrypted transmission to an external server. CIA cyber team traced it to a known Russian intelligence communications hub. Alex felt cold shock run through her. Wilson, the same Commander Wilson who had been with Bishop at the sniper range 6 months ago watching her shoot. The man who had overseen her transfer to SEAL Team 7. They're moving to apprehend him now, Warren continued. But the damage is done. The false intel has been passed. We proceed with the operation as planned, but with heightened awareness. They know we'll be at the insertion point. They don't know we know they know. The old double bluff, Torres said with a grim smile. Exactly, wheels up in 5, Blackwood a word. Alex followed Warren a few paces away from the team. Wilson was your liaison to SEAL Team 7, he said without preamble. He personally signed off on your transfer. Yes, sir. Which means this isn't just about eliminating you because of the laptop you found. This is personal. You were getting close to him. Alex thought back to her interactions with Wilson. The commander had always been professional, if somewhat distant. Nothing about his behavior had triggered her suspicions. I never suspected, she admitted. Not once. That's how deep cover assets operate. They're excellent at maintaining their persona. Warren checked his watch. We'll sort through the implications later. Right now, we have an ambush to counter ambush. The flight to the operational area took 40 minutes, the Blackhawks maintaining low altitude to avoid detection. Below them, dense forest gave way to rolling hills, then back to forest as they approached the abandoned logging camp. 5 minutes to insertion, the pilot's voice crackled through their headsets. Alex mentally prepared herself, running through the plan one final time. They would insert 1 kilometer from the camp, approach on foot using terrain for concealment, establish a perimeter and wait. If intelligence was correct, the enemy force would already be in position, expecting them to arrive at the false coordinates. When they realized the SEAL team wasn't coming, they'd regroup at their staging area, their logging camp. The helicopters touched down in a small clearing, rotors kicking up a storm of dead leaves and pine needles. SEAL Team 7 disembarked with practiced efficiency, establishing a security perimeter while the aircraft departed. Move out, Warren ordered once the sound of the helicopters had faded. Alex on point, standard interval, silent approach. They moved through the forest like shadows, each operator covering their sector, maintaining awareness of their teammates' positions. Alex led them along a route that utilized natural depressions and vegetation for concealment, avoiding ridgelines and open areas where they might be spotted. After 30 minutes of careful movement, they reached the edge of the clearing that housed the abandoned logging camp. The facility consisted of several dilapidated buildings, rusting equipment, and a large central yard now overgrown with weeds. Warren signaled for them to hold position while he surveyed the area through his binoculars. 3 vehicles at the north end, he reported quietly. 1 communications setup visible in the main building. Minimal movement. I count 4, maybe 5 personnel. That's it, Cooper whispered. Seems light for an ambush team. Alex scanned the area, her experienced eye catching what others might miss. They're not all visible, she said. Based on the tire tracks and equipment footprint, I'd estimate 12 to 15 operators. The rest are either inside or deployed to observation positions. Warren nodded agreement. We hold here and observe. Wait for the rest to return from the primary ambush location when they realize we're not coming. For 2 hours, they maintained their observation post, documenting movement, identifying defensive positions, building a complete picture of the enemy force. As Alex had predicted, additional personnel began returning to the camp, arriving in small groups, all clearly frustrated by the failure of their ambush. That's the commander, Alex said as a tall figure emerged from the main building. Even at this distance, she recognized the distinctive gait. Nikolai Volkov, former Spetsnaz, now private military contractor. He worked with Petrov on at least 3 operations I know of. You know him, Warren asked. I was hunting him before I joined the team. He disappeared 6 months ago. Intelligence thought he might have been eliminated by rivals. Looks like they were wrong. Alex adjusted her scope, studying Volkov's angry gestures as he berated his returning men. He's not happy. Operation failed, key asset missing. His employers won't be pleased. His employers being Russian military intelligence, most likely, or one of their cutouts. Warren considered this. How many total now? Alex did a quick count. 14 visible, probably 2 or 3 more inside as communications and support personnel. Significantly outnumber us, Hayes observed. But we have surprise in position, Warren countered, and we're not trying to eliminate them all. Primary objective is capture of Volkov for intelligence purposes. Secondary objective is securing any communications equipment and documents. He outlined the assault plan, a coordinated approach using the buildings for cover. Simultaneous breach from multiple points, non-lethal tactics where possible to maximize capture of intelligence assets. Questions? Warren asked when he'd finished. There were none. Each operator knew their role, understood the importance of the mission. This wasn't just about preventing another attempt on Alex's life. It was about crippling the intelligence network that had compromised NATO operations for years. Execute on my mark, Warren said, checking his watch. Synchronize mark. SEAL Team 7 moved into position with practiced stealth encircling the camp, each operator finding their designated approach route. Alex positioned herself on a small rise overlooking the main yard, the Mk-13 steady in her hands. From here, she could provide overwatch, eliminate any threats that might compromise the assault team. At precisely the designated time, Warren's voice came through their comms. Execute, execute, execute. The assault unfolded with the precision of extensive training. Cooper and Torres approached from the east, deploying flashbang grenades to disorient the enemy. Warren and Hayes entered from the south, while Miller and Jackson secured the perimeter to prevent escape. Alex watched through her scope as the enemy forces reacted with confusion to the sudden assault. 2 attempted to reach vehicle-mounted weapons, but fell to her carefully placed non-lethal shots, shoulder and leg wounds, that incapacitated without killing. Through her scope, she saw Volkov emerge from the main building, pistol in hand. He fired wildly at Warren's advancing team, then turned to flee toward a vehicle parked behind the structure. Volkov breaking north, Alex reported calmly. Armed, moving to escape vehicle. Can you disable him? Warren asked, his voice tight with the exertion of combat. Alex tracked Volkov's movement, calculating distance, wind, the subject's speed. A lethal shot would be simple. A non-lethal shot to incapacitate without risking death required more precision. Affirmative, she replied, then squeezed the trigger. The round caught Volkov in the right thigh, shattering his femur, but missing the femoral artery. He collapsed with a scream audible even at this distance, his pistol skittering away across the gravel. Within minutes, the assault was complete. 11 enemy operators captured, 3 wounded, including Volkov. Only 2 had managed to escape into the surrounding forest. Alex maintained her overwatch position until Warren gave the all-clear, then moved down to join the team at the camp. Inside the main building, they discovered a sophisticated communications setup and multiple laptops, a treasure trove of intelligence that would help dismantle what remained of the Chimera network. Volkov sat propped against a wall, his leg bandaged, his face contorted with pain and rage. When he saw Alex approach, recognition flashed in his eyes. The ghost, he spat in heavily accented English. Petrov said you were good. He didn't say you were this good. Petrov underestimated me, Alex replied coolly. So did you. It doesn't matter. Cut off one head, two more grow in its place. Others will come for you. Let them come, Alex said. I'll be waiting. The extraction team arrived 30 minutes later, two Blackhawks and a medical evacuation helicopter. As the prisoners were loaded aboard, Reynolds appeared stepping from one of the aircraft with a team of intelligence specialists who immediately began securing the captured equipment and documents. Well done, she told Warren. Initial assessment suggests we've captured significant intelligence on the remaining Chimera network. This may be the break we needed. And Commander Wilson, Warren asked. In custody, already talking, trying to make a deal. Reynolds glanced at Alex. Turns out he was recruited 5 years ago. Russians had compromising material on him. Gambling debts, inappropriate relationships. The usual weaknesses. He was the one who suggested me for Ghost Protocol, Alex said quietly. He knew what I could do, had seen my shooting scores. Yes, he's admitted that part of his assignment was identifying exceptional operators who might pose threats to Russian intelligence operations. He flagged you early on your shooting abilities, made you a potential counter to their sniper teams. So he had me assigned to the very unit that would put me in their crosshairs. Reynolds nodded grimly. The perfect setup. Either you'd fail and die in the field or succeed and become such a threat they'd have to eliminate you directly. When you started recovering intelligence like the Kozlov laptop, your fate was sealed. And my transfer to SEAL Team 7, also his recommendation. He knew you'd requested a team assignment, saw an opportunity to place you in a predictable operational pattern that would make you easier to target. Alex absorbed this, the cold calculation behind decisions that had shaped the last 3 years of her life. She'd been a pawn in a game she hadn't even known was being played. Warren put his hand on her shoulder. It's over now, he said quietly. Wilson's finished. Volkov's captured. The network is compromised. Alex nodded but knew it wasn't truly over. Intelligence games never ended. They just evolved into new forms with new players. But for now, at least she'd survived. Her team had survived. That was victory enough. As they boarded the extraction helicopter, Alex looked back at the logging camp one last time. Another battlefield, another mission, another step in the endless shadow war that defined her existence. But this time she wasn't alone. This time she had people who knew what she was, what she could do, and accepted her anyway. It felt strangely like coming home. 3 weeks later, Alex stood at the edge of the base shooting range, watching Cooper instruct Torres on the finer points of long-distance shooting. The young SEAL had absorbed her teachings with remarkable speed, his natural talent enhanced by her specialized knowledge. Now he was passing those skills to others, the knowledge spreading through the team like ripples in a pond. He's good, Hayes said, coming to stand beside her. The chief's arm was out of its sling now, though he still favored it slightly. Not as good as you, but good. He will be with time, Alex replied. He has the gift. Hayes studied her. Word came down this morning. Commendation medal with Valor device for all of us. Silver Star recommendation for you. Alex threw a shrug. I was just doing my job. Your job saved all our lives. Then helped take down a Russian intelligence network that had compromised NATO operations for years. That's worth acknowledging, Blackwood. She didn't respond, uncomfortable as always with praise or recognition. Hayes seemed to understand, changing the subject. Warren says we're cleared to resume normal operations next week. Intelligence assessment is that the remaining Chimera network is in disarray, focused on damage control rather than offensive operations. They'll regroup eventually, Alex said. That's what intelligence networks do. Adapt, evolve, rebuild. And we'll be ready when they do. Hayes clapped her shoulder with his good arm. The ghost in her team has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Despite herself, Alex smiled. I still don't need a call sign. Too late, Blackwood. It's already stuck. The whole command structure is using it now. As Hayes walked away, Alex turned to see Warren approaching. The lieutenant looked more relaxed than she'd seen him in weeks, the burden of command temporarily lightened, now that the immediate threat had passed. Bishop's looking for you, he said without preamble. Says he has a proposition. What kind of proposition? Wouldn't tell me, said it was for your ears only. Warren studied her. You're not thinking of leaving the team, are you? The question surprised her. No, why would I? Because now that everyone knows what you can do, the offers will start coming. Special operations units, intelligence agencies, they'll all want the ghost on their roster. Alex considered this. I'm where I need to be, she said finally. For the first time in a long time, I'm exactly where I need to be. Warren nodded, satisfaction evident in his expression. Good, because I'd hate to have to train another sniper to your standards. As the lieutenant walked away, Alex felt a profound sense of peace settle over her. For 2 years after Michael's death, she'd operated alone, a ghost drifting through the shadows of a world few ever saw. She'd been effective lethal, precisely the weapon Ghost Protocol had designed her to be. But weapons existed in isolation. People needed connection, needed to belong. Looking across the base, she could see her team, Cooper and Torres at the range, Hayes supervising equipment maintenance, Miller inventorying medical supplies, Warren conferring with operations staff. Ordinary people doing extraordinary work bound together by shared purpose and mutual trust. Her people, her team. For the first time since Michael Shepard had died in her arms, Alexandra Blackwood felt something more powerful than the cold satisfaction of a successful mission or the fleeting relief of surviving another day. She felt like she was part of something larger than herself. She felt like she was home. And that, more than any commendation or medal, was the true reward for 8 targets eliminated in 12 minutes on that fateful day in the forest. Not the kills themselves, but what they had revealed, not just her exceptional abilities, but her humanity, her need for connection, her capacity to care. In the distance, Bishop appeared walking toward her with purposeful strides. Whatever proposition he had, whatever new mission or challenge awaited, she would face it not as the ghost, the solitary hunter of the shadows, but as Alex Blackwood's SEAL Team 7's precision marksman. The lone wolf had found her pack, and no force on earth would separate them again.